Good morning, everybody. Good to see you guys. I missed you last week and the week before when we were at convention. For those of you that were at convention, it was awesome to be able to see you and hug on you. That's the highlight of my time at convention. This morning we have some fun things that we're going to talk about. So we are going to talk about gut health, and Kresta is going to do that. And she is our team expert when it comes to nutrition and gut health and all of that. So I'm just going to share a little bit about my thoughts on that. And then we're also going to talk about the challenge, and Kenzie's going to chat with us a little bit after we're done. So for me, before I started using doTERRA, I never even knew what gut health was. And Kresta and I have actually talked about the verbiage that we use when we talk to people about gut health and the benefits of that, because there's probably more people like me before I started doTERRA that had absolutely no idea what that meant than people that do know what gut health really means and the significance of gut health. And so Kresta will go into that a little bit more, but so you're just going to get layman stuff from me. Over the course of using the products and just the personal education and some of my health struggles, I have had the term gut health and your gut flora and all of that stuff, it just keeps rolling around. Be able to really know the significance of how important that is for our health. So I'm going to share just a little bit about my experience with the doctor over the last few months, and then we're going to move on to that. So I've had some thyroid issues for quite some time, and it started around the same time, I think, as some of the hormones and depression and all that. I think they all kind of accumulated together. So over these last few years, I have really struggled with the health of my thyroid. So I found a couple of different doctors that helped me with that, and I also was able to connect with another lady on the team that really helps with some of the intuitive healing and prayerful healing and all of that, to be able to come up with a protocol to help with my thyroid. Long story short, I used Melissa for 42 days, and it really kicked in the healing process for my thyroid. So I did blood work with the doctor this spring, and it shows that my thyroid levels are all normal except for the antibodies. So I went back to the doctor when we got back to Utah just a couple weeks ago, and the antibodies are actually continuing to decrease. So the antibodies really need to be below a 1. And 3 years ago, my antibodies were 115, I think, then down to 75. In the spring, they were 25, and a couple weeks ago, they read at 15. And over the summer, I was not consistent with my product use and my protocol in order to help with the autoimmune. So what the antibody is showing is that I have an autoimmune issue. So the reason I'm telling you this is when I was talking to the doctor, he said, I'd like you to go on a small dose of medication to be able to stop the antibodies and stop that attack on your thyroid. And I said, well, if I do a small dose of that medication and continue with my protocol, will that help? His response was, there is absolutely no proof anywhere that shows that the oils or any kind of natural remedies will help with your thyroid and autoimmune. So if you go on that medication, we will not be able to prove that your way is working. So basically, he dissuaded me from doing the medication and encouraged me to go into using the product consistently, and then come back in December and do another blood test so we could have a specific protocol and records that show that my protocol is helping. And the other thing that he said is your gut health is very important. So you need to really stick to your protocol and focus on the health of your gut. So over the course of time, I've started using the Terrazyme and PB Assist. I talked to Kresta a while ago about the amount of PB Assist that will be beneficial as you start the process of healing your gut for whatever reason you need that benefit in there. And so that is what my intention is. What I find really cool is that, yes, I have a doctor that doesn't know a ton about how to use the oils, but he does believe in the oils and the natural way of doing things. He's basically covering his butt and doing that study, so he has proof that what I'm doing is either working or not working. So that was very encouraging to me, just to have a doctor that's willing to have a conversation. But what I also found interesting when he was talking is that he talked about the Epstein-Barr when it comes to thyroid issues. He talked about gut health, and he talked about consistency. And that's one of the things that we talk about over the course of time when we're using the products to be able to help us with our health and to be able to help our friends with health. It's super easy to not be consistent. And then it's super easy to say, well, these products don't work. So when I am consistent with Terrazyme and I'm consistent with PB Assist and the lemon oil and all of that, I have a much happier gut. I have had issues my whole life with not being, my gut just didn't work properly. So with being consistent with that, my stomach and my gut just feels better. It takes the bloat away. It adds more of that, the regularity, and just feels better. Not to mention that when we have our gut healthy, it helps with our mood and thoughts and that whole process of things. So that being said, we get to hear from the expert. And Kresta, I love listening to Kresta when it comes to this, because I mean, we talk about, you know, utilizing our passion when we help people, and you can really tell when we talk to people what their passion is. And there's absolutely no doubt that nutrition and gut health is Kresta's passion. And being able to tie in the products that we use and the passion of the gut health, we end up with a really good combination. Coming from a person that loves people and wants to help people, that makes it even better. So, Kresta, you're on.
All right. Hey, everybody. So, so Romy asked me to come and share with you guys a little bit about this, and honestly, I'm hoping that I can keep this to under an hour, because like there's literally so much good stuff to share with you. So a little bit about what I'm going to share with you is I want to talk a little bit more about digestion and gut health, like she said, and then also some of the products that I think are really instrumental in maintaining and or repairing or even restoring better gut health. I can honestly say with probably 99.9% certainty that there is not a single person on this call or who will watch the recording later who is not currently struggling with gut health in some way. So a couple of ways to be able to tell if you are struggling with your gut health, because it's literally connected to everything. If you have any kind of a diagnosed issue in your life right now, it can lead back to gut health. If you have any kind of skin issue at all, it leads back to gut health. Any kind of mood issue, any kind of digestion issue, literally everything, autoimmune, all of it leads back to gut health in some way. So we don't know what we don't know. This is sort of like what kind of the light bulbs kind of start to come on, and you're like, okay, well, if I would have known that when I was like a little kid, my parents knew that when I was a little kid, then things would be very different for me now. So one of the things that I find really fascinating, or well, and I can kind of geek out on this stuff, you guys, so forgive me if it if it starts to get a little overboard. But one of the things that I learned through my schooling and a lot of my certification process was that we are born with our residential bacteria, and by the time we're about age 2, that bacteria is mature and it's where it's going to be for the whole rest of our life. We can't get it back. If we take antibiotics throughout our life, then that can damage our residential bacteria. We have probiotics and other resources that we utilize that can help to protect our residential bacteria. But by the time you get to be our age, and you know, I'm gonna be brutally honest, I've taken many rounds of antibiotics in my lifetime, and looking back on it, I never ever took probiotics while I took antibiotics. Didn't know that it was important to do so. And I've struggled with digestion for most of my adult life, probably as a result of that. So with that said, our PB Assist, in fact, I'm just going to tell you right now, our entire Cleanse and Restore kit is really, really, really necessary. Like really necessary. If you're using it for like a gut health protocol, then, you know, some of the products in there can definitely be something that you'll use a little differently. But I can honestly say that nearly every one of the products in that kit are something that people should generally use all the time. The doses of them can be a little bit different depending on the person. Because of my gut health certification or my health coaching certification, I will take clients through these products. And as much as I really love doTERRA's 30-day Cleanse and Restore program, it's usually not enough. I can honestly say that with most of the people that I've worked with, we have to do sort of a modified first 30 days, and then a second 30 days, and then a third 30 days. And then for people who are really serious about making lasting change, it can sometimes take months or even years to get your gut back to where it may have been, you know, when you were younger or before you started really struggling with some of the issues that you might be struggling with. So you guys probably know a lot about our Cleanse and Restore kit, and so I'll touch on a little bit of those kind of as we go along. But what I really wanted to share with you is like my geeky side a little bit on it's 10 steps to helping your gut to be where you want it to be kind of all the time. And these are lifestyle sorts of things that that can really benefit how you're feeling, just pretty much everything. So the first step is to chew your food. I can honestly tell you, I am so guilty of this, you guys. Like sitting down to a meal and in 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, like I'm done and I'm taking my plate to the sink. That's just not long enough. Like you really need to learn how to slow down and chew your food till it's liquid in your mouth. So oftentimes they say, you know, 30 to 40 chews. Well, it depends a lot on what you're eating. If you're eating something that's already a little bit soft, 30 or 40 chews and you're going to be like gagging before you're swallowing. So use your sort of tongue and your mouth and to feel the consistency of the food in your mouth, but you want to chew your food to liquid. And here's the reason why. And this is also why TerraZyme is actually a really, really great product for us, because as we're chewing, it's releasing the saliva in our mouth, which has its own digestive enzymes in it. As we age and are getting probably close to the age of around 40, our body starts to slow way down on its production of digestive enzymes. So at that point, that's when using a product like TerraZyme every day with every meal can be really, really, really helpful to help our digestive tract not have to work so hard, okay? So chewing your food to liquid helps just the digestive process. And it just helps to kind of ease, like I said, that digestion, so that indigestion and bloating and gas and things like that become a whole lot less frequent. Step 2 is to use, drink like an 8-ounce glass or cup of warm water with either lemon oil or lemon juice every morning. And this just sort of gets your digestive tract moving. It gets your digestion able to sort of wake up and get ready for the day. And then if you feel like it, you could add like a drop of ginger to it as well. Ginger and lemon oil both together are really, really great, not only for their cleansing properties, but for just assisting our digestion as well. So again, this is where In normal world or whatever, they're saying use the root or use the lemon and squeeze it in there. But in our life, like, we can use the oils, and it's every bit as beneficial, if not even more so, because there are other aspects that we could be targeting with the use of those oils, both physically and emotionally. So number 3 is to take time to savor your food. Okay, so really pay attention, and this goes back to the chewing, right? But so I have this exercise that I sometimes share with my clients that's sort of like it's almost like a chewing meditation, so to speak, where as you're chewing, you're really paying attention to the flavors that are in your mouth. And oftentimes, with certain foods, as you're eating, they start to sweeten a little bit as you get to the place where you're almost ready to swallow it. You're just about done chewing them. And so if you really take a minute, take 20 minutes to eat a plate of food, okay? Really savor the flavors, really pay attention. And what you might actually find is not only does this really sort of help you to relax, but it can help to lower your stress levels as well. So when you just really take time and just consciously not be rushed when you eat. This also helps your gut bacteria, which Romy mentioned the word gut flora. That's basically the term for the good bacteria that's in your belly, that's kind of helping your body to work its magic. The beauty of it is that flora is literally everywhere on our body, inside and out. And we have more bacteria on our body, on and in our body, than we actually have cells. So it's very, very important to protect it and to just, live in a way that doesn't like harm it or make them kind of disappear. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit too. Number 4 is to eat smaller meals more often. This is actually a really great technique too to help lose weight. So if you're struggling with weight, with the steps that we've discussed previously, really taking time, you might find that you're not hungry for as large of a serving as you may have been used to in the past when you take a little more time to eat. And so eating smaller meals more often can sometimes really help to also benefit your blood sugar levels. If you're not getting really, really hungry, and then you don't necessarily eat till you're full each time either. It's sort of, I don't know, for lack of a better description, I guess sort of a grazing technique in a way. And so your body doesn't ever really get starving, but it doesn't ever really get full either. And so what you can do is you just eat, 5 or 6 smaller meals or 3 average type meals with little snacks in between, so you don't have those hunger pangs. And then, just plan to eat until you're only about 80% full. The beauty of this is, like I said, your body doesn't ever like go into like a starvation mode, so to speak. And so a happy side effect for a lot of people is that weight starts to just sort of fall off without them really even trying. And I've also seen where eating this way and not changing what you're eating at all can actually still accomplish the same thing. I had a friend who was working in a place where he was having a hard time like able to leave to go have lunch or different things like that. So he would just pack his food with him. And so he was eating candy bars and junk food and, drinking sodas and, all the stuff we know that isn't good for us. But because he was just having really small amounts of it all the time, like throughout his day, like he started noticing that his clothes were starting to fit a little looser on him and that sort of a thing. And so he didn't have time to actually sit down and have like a full meal all at once. And so it was just sort of this constant little like grazing thing for him. So anyway, it's interesting to see that sometimes it's not always about what the food is, it's portions and it's how much time you're taking. And, if you really have time to sort of like, just pay attention and not be like rushing. We're always just rushing. So food sequencing is step 5. This can sometimes be really, really helpful for people who are struggling with gut health as well. And so the reason what this actually is eating vegetables first, then carbohydrates, and then protein last. And so vegetables actually have a lot of their own digestive enzymes in them. So it's sort of like if you take the Terrazyme before you eat, then it's already in your tummy. It's already there, ready, waiting to start helping your body to digest the foods that you're about to eat. And, you know, carbs are a tiny little bit easier to digest than proteins. But the beauty of proteins is that they sort of help you to stay full longer or feel full longer. So then you're not like starving and needing to rush right back out and go and find something else to eat. So let's see, number 6, this is one that can kind of sometimes be a little bit tricky. So back on number 4, we talked about eating smaller meals more often. Number 6 is, this is where my philosophy of really helping you to really pay attention to how you feel and try not to like stuff yourself into someone else's box. Everything about what I do and what, you know, my clients are doing and feeling and everything like that is very, very individual. And so the understanding that we're all going to be very different and that it's up to us to pay attention to how we feel so that we can make changes. So number 6 is that sometimes small meals more often is not right for you. And understanding that, you know, 3 solid meals will maybe sustain your energy a little bit better than 6 smaller ones. So paying attention that that could be a thing for you, and to understand that if it is, that's okay, but you are the one that's in total control and can make those sorts of adjustments if you need to, okay? So number 7 is to consume salads with properly fermented vinegars or fermented foods with meals to aid digestion. So I see Karina on here, and I know that she makes her own water kefir. I know that Romy and Karina too both have made their own kombucha in the past. So does anyone not recognize those names? Do you guys know what kefir and kombucha are? Pretty much. Okay. So there are all kinds of fermented foods out there. And the reason why consuming fermented foods is good for us is because they contain different strains of probiotics that that add diversity to our system, to our body, okay? So as much as I love our PB Assist, I actually use the Junior too, and I do have one more brand that I like to use, and if you want the name of that, you can private message me later. But I like to change things up a tiny bit to add the diversity so that I'm getting lots and lots of different bacteria strains into my system, because ultimately what that does is not any one good bacteria can like overtake all the rest, right? You want to add that diversity because it can, it just helps you to feel really good. It helps to boost your immune system. It helps you to feel more mentally clear and all of that. Like it's really, really good. For someone who is not used to eating fermented foods or drinks, then you definitely want to go in a little bit easy when you first start having fermented foods, especially the homemade. I see that Karina talked about making sauerkraut. It is very, very easy to make your own sauerkraut. Fermented vegetables, things like that. It can, and even with taking supplements, probiotic supplements, if you go too fast, too soon, it causes diarrhea. So if you experience that, then you just know you need to back that off and go into it just a little more gently. You know, diarrhea is not ever really a good thing. Sometimes it can be if you're doing cleansing and stuff like that, but you definitely don't want to experience that for more than a couple of days at a time. Otherwise, you know, you risk other things like dehydration and that sort of a thing, and you really, really don't want to mess with that. So step 8 is to not drink too much with meals. I think that as a society, we are sort of raised to have these big, huge glasses of soda or whatever with our meals and things like that. But for some people, especially people who really struggle with their gut health, if you drink too much with your meals, you're actually diluting your stomach acid, which can then create other issues because your body tries to compensate for that, which then can turn into added indigestion. It can turn to acid reflux. It can turn into like a ton of other things where you just don't feel good at all. And so if your stomach is too full, it doesn't really matter if it's from liquid or food, then if you're sipping too much, then it can cause, like I said, it can cause these issues where you just kind of feel kind of crappy. So during your meal, like I said, it's best to chew your food to liquid, so you're not rushing to your drink to help wash it all down, right? If you're needing to drink something to wash down your food, it's because you're not chewing it enough. So sip it during your meal in small amounts. That kind of a thing can be fine. But to sit down and drink, 16 or 20 ounce soda with your food, like I said, can lead to issues that you might not be aware of. Now, when you're not eating, it's a good idea to make sure to drink your water. I suggest half of your body weight in ounces daily. Most people kind of act like they're going to faint when I say that. And so the real truth of the matter is that unless you are an elite athlete, which would then require more, half of your body weight in ounces daily is almost the bare minimum to really just sustain normal body function. Okay, so dehydration is alive and well in our society and in our world, and oftentimes gut health and all kinds of other health problems can be pointed back to just simply not drinking enough water. So I definitely suggest that. Number 9 is to try Terrazyme or PB Assist to help to support your body. If you don't feel like you're eating enough fresh fruits and vegetables, then, Terrazyme is definitely going to be almost a mandatory product for you. Your body really needs the help sometimes. And, and like I said, as we get older, we're not producing enough of it on our own to digest our foods, which can then lead to other issues. So, the probiotics, let me talk a little bit about dosing and stuff like that. I think for general sort of routine, just living your life day by day, 1 or 2 PB Assists a day are pretty great. If you are doing gut health work or are trying to restore or repair gut health, then a much higher dose can sometimes be necessary. Otherwise, it just really takes a very, very long time. Again, remember what I said about using too much too fast and it causing diarrhea. You may have to work up to it, but I have had clients where we can sometimes get up to 50 to 100 billion CFUs on a daily basis during an actual repair restore situation, okay? So as much as I adore our PB Assist, that would be blasting through 1 bottle in 2 days. So sometimes, like I said, it does require doing a little bit of homework and finding another adequate brand that you feel is going to be good enough to get you what you need, or supplementing your supplement with something like fermented foods and things like that that will be able to get you the dosing that you're looking for. The last one is to determine whether or not you have a food sensitivity. I discovered through a lot of detective work and just, oh my gosh, you guys, it took me probably 1.5 years to figure it out finally. And now that I know what to look for, it's easier for me to take people through this process to help to see if they have food sensitivities. But gluten was definitely something for me that I really, really struggled with. A lot of people can struggle with gluten, but it doesn't mean that you have to struggle with it forever. It just means that maybe you require some gut repair work that can get your body back to a place where you can tolerate it again. The instructor that I utilized for my gut health training was very interesting in her thought process in terms of food, and she always sort of came at us from a perspective of it's not the food's fault, right? Our bodies are pretty incredible machines and can tolerate a whole lot of stuff. And obviously we want to be mindful of processed foods and, yucky ingredients and things like that. And we want to reduce those when we're able to and that sort of a thing. But, if you're eating a whole grain bread or, a sourdough bread or something of that nature, then oftentimes gluten is not necessarily the bad guy. Dairy is not necessarily the bad guy. It's when there's extra stuff in it that, can kind of create issues that we are unexpecting. So So to determine whether or not you have a food sensitivity, like I said, that takes some detective work. It takes journaling your food. Essentially, the way that I do this with my clients is to ask them to write down everything that they eat all the time, like for a couple of weeks at least. And then we write down like how they feel physically, emotionally, all of those things. And then we go back through it and we start to look for patterns. And so once we can determine, okay, well, I can see that when I consume dairy, I feel run down or this or that or whatever, you know, whatever food, whatever feeling. And then we can temporarily remove that food to see if it fixes the situation, right? And then if it does, then we can decide if a gut health protocol is appropriate. So before I go into the supplements, does anyone have questions so far? I'm so proud of myself. I blasted through that in a half an hour. All right, so the thing that I kind of want to go through our Cleanse and Restore kit. For those of you that aren't sure what is in there, it has the Lifelong Vitality, the Terrazyme, the PB Assist, the GX Assist, the Zendocrine Complex, the DDR Prime, the Zendocrine Soft Gels, and the lemon oil. Okay, so all of these are really pretty foundational. I will be honest in saying that I don't use the Zendocrine Soft Gels outside of like cleansing situations. For me personally, they somewhat make me a little bit dizzy when I take them, but I really like the Zendocrine Complex, and I think that it may only be available in the kit at the moment. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll have to check that. But Lifelong Vitality is foundational. So this one is the one that we take when maybe we're not going to eat the kind of foods that our body really, really needs. This at least ensures that we're getting the nutrients that our body needs, because when we're not getting those nutrients, it's really, really hard for our gut health to be strong, because it only can do what it can do with the tools that we give it to work, right? So when we are eating foods that are nutrient rich, lots and lots of fresh fruits and vegetables are really important. I would say half of your diet total should be, at least half should be fresh fruits and vegetables. So if you can have something like that at every meal, that's excellent. The Terrazyme, like we already talked about, is something that needs to happen every day. Also, PB Assist needs to happen every day. At least one, if not more, depending on your personal needs. The Zendocrine Complex needs to happen every day, and the DDR Prime needs to happen every day. Lemon oil, I kind of hit and miss this one. Like if I feel like I need a little extra something in my water, or if I'm specifically wanting to cleanse, that sort of a thing, then I use that one. That one, I can kind of take it or leave it on a daily basis. I like to switch my oils and my water up between cinnamon. I really like fennel. What else? Let's see, peppermint. I don't know. You guys, what oils do you guys like to put in your water?
Green mandarin.
Oh, is that good? I need to try that. So you can kind of shake it up. You can change it. What's that, Melissa?
I said green mandarin's pretty awesome in water.
Okay, I'm going to have to try that then. Yeah, grapefruit. Any of the citrus oils can always be swapped out. I saw Kai suggested grapefruit. That's perfect. So, the GX Assist, this is part of what I wanted to share with you as well. So the GX Assist is an amazing, amazing product. So when you have issues going on where you feel a little bit like you've got, and this is a health coach term, but dysbiosis is what happens when the bad bacteria in your body is starting to overcome the good bacteria, okay? And so you can feel crummy, you can feel depressed, you can have emotional ups and downs, you can have skin issues, and basically all of the things that we mentioned in the beginning. And so in order to knock down the bad bacteria, you've got to have something that will do that. Well, the only other thing besides oil of oregano that can do that is antibiotics, but that causes a whole other host of issues because it knocks the good bacteria down too, right? So GX Assist is a product that we can utilize And like in the 30-day cleanse protocol, we only use it for 10 days. And on the back of the bottle, you can use, you know, 1 pill up to 3 times a day if your system will tolerate it. So let me share a little bit about what I mean by that. So if you're brand new to using GX, you've never tried it before, it's got oregano in it, which is a super duper spicy oil. It can make your tummy feel like you've got heartburn. It can kind of feel burny in your belly. And so it's imperative that you use that one with food. But if that feeling causes cramping or other issues, then that's when you know you're not yet ready to take on more than 1 a day. Okay, so you use your judgment and try to decide, you know, what you need. Did you have a question, Iris?
Yes, as soon as you're done with the cramping and stuff.
Yeah, so that was pretty much it. Like there can definitely be some digestive upset that can happen with GX, and so it's very important that you go into that one knowing that that's a possibility, and knowing that you know, you may need to utilize it a little more slowly, and then, you know, go into it again in another few weeks once you've gone through the PB phase. Which, like I said, if you're doing the cleanse, then you pause the PB while you're doing the GX. If you're working with me and doing a gut health protocol, we kind of do things a little bit differently and more of in a long-term sort of a basis, and not so much swapping things off and on. So go ahead, Iris, what's your question?
Well, I find I am better off with GX Assist in my daily routine to help my flow be more flowy and less rocky. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So can I take a GX Assist every day, or should I be careful?
I think that it's probably a good idea to be mindful that it's going to knock down the bad bacteria. And honestly, we still want to create balance, right? We almost somewhat need some of the bad. We just don't want it to overtake, right? We want our good to flourish, and that sort of a thing. The thing though with GX is that, like I said, is that I generally will only use it with my clients when we need to knock things down and then try to help their body to bring back more balance into their life. If you're having issues with irregular stools and that sort of a thing, the very first question I ask is, how much water are you drinking? Mm-hmm. That kind of a thing, that's very, very important. How much vegetables and fruits are you consuming? Ultimately, if constipation is a challenge, that sort of a thing, then those two things being addressed can oftentimes rectify the situation. Does anyone else have questions? That was a good one, Iris. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Iris, when I went on my diet a couple months ago, like, things were sluggish. And I actually, I started drinking the divided half my weight. But I noticed to get myself regular, I actually had to increase my water a little bit more, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's right, but that's what I had to do to get it to kind of regulate. And if I don't drink enough water, there's problems.
Okay.
Yeah, different people have different needs, and like I said, the half your body weight in ounces is sort of a basic guideline. But Melissa points out that's absolutely perfect. She realized that that her body needed it a little more than that. So drinking water is probably the biggest challenge, I would say, of most of my clients. And so a couple of suggestions that I have for that is, there are little reminder apps, free reminder apps that you can utilize. One of them is called Plant Nanny. There's tons of them out there, but I've used 2 that I think are super duper cute. Plant Nanny is one, and let me actually see. I think I have the other one on my phone right here. It's called, I think, Drink Water Aquarium or something like that. And so anyway, they're cute little kind of games. One of them, you're growing fish in an aquarium, and the other one, you're growing these cute little plants. And if you don't drink your water, then your plants die and you don't get your little fishes. So anyway, it's just a fun little, you can set it to how many ounces you want to consume in a day. And then it's going to automatically every hour ding your phone and say, hey, it's time to drink your water. And then you can click into it and just say, okay, I drank this much. And so then it kind of has this little gauge on the inside of the app that will kind of show you how far you've come. And, you know, and so when you can start to just get into the habit, you'll have probably the first 3 days where you're kind of running to the bathroom all the time. But after your body gets used to it, like you start to crave the water. If water is boring to you or something like that, then like I said, we've got our oils. There is no reason at all why we can't shake it up and change the flavor by adding an oil or something like that. But using like soda or things like that to have our hydration doesn't work. Amanda, did you have a question?
I do. I was wondering, does carbonated water, I'm talking like a club soda or something with no sugar or anything like that in it, does it work the same way as in your body as still water does?
No, not really. Carbonation can be good and bad. Like it really kind of depends on the person. It's not, I don't know, for some people, carbonation can actually create its own host of issues. So it just sort of depends. Again, though, like I said, that's not everybody. You know, it's important to pay attention to how you feel. You don't necessarily want to utilize another option as your like quota for the day. If you want to enjoy those things, though, like there's no problem with that. So let's see. Melissa just wrote cucumber, mint, ginger. What's the benefit with cleansing the body? Yeah, so I mean, cucumber and mint, like if you're using like actual mint leaves to flavor your water, I mean, it's just, I think it's really just to flavor, but like, you know, they have their own enzymes, they have their own health benefits, that sort of a thing. And so, you know, you're going to be able to get little bits of benefit from those things, and ginger and things like that. The real truth of the matter, though, is that pooping regularly really does need to happen. Like I have a friend who hates to poop, and she won't do it but like once a week. And she's been diagnosed with colon cancer twice. So you have to kind of understand like the dynamic of what it actually is, right? You are eliminating waste from your body, okay? If you don't like to do that, you need to get over it, first of all, because I mean, if you're holding on to that, then you're going to be grumpy and full of crap, and nobody's going to want to talk to you. So you just need to get over it and just do it. So drinking water and adding the little extras to it to help regulate, it really is kind of important. Taryn, what do you have?
So I know, well, I've been told that the GX Assist is not something that is recommended for pregnant women to do. Do you have a cleanse that you would recommend for women that are pregnant?
To be really honest with you, I would not recommend cleansing while pregnant. And the reason why is because their body is already under a great deal of strain and stress trying to grow a little baby. And so cleansing during that time is just really not a good idea. You don't want to add, you know, a bigger workload to an already really big workload. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Would you recommend maybe lemon oil in the water?
I would say that if, you know, I mean, a lot really sort of depends on what's going on, you know, but, you know, lemon oil in moderation, like I think I would still even be very cautious there. Like I said, you don't want to stress your body when it's already really working overtime doing what it's doing. You know what I mean? And not only that, but I don't know about anybody else. I can't speak for anyone else, but when I was pregnant, I did not feel good. And so, you know, like doing any kind of cleansing or putting myself in a situation to potentially induce icky feeling, you know, whether it's vomiting or diarrhea or anything like that, like, yeah, no thanks, I'm gonna wait, you know. And same with nursing, like it's sort of the same thing, like your body is still really straining to support this little baby. And so some cleansing protocols, very, very gentle ones, can be utilized during nursing. But honestly, I don't know that I would really recommend supplements during that, any type of like cleansing supplement. I think that the only type of cleanse that I might utilize with someone who was pregnant or nursing is food only. You know, maybe attempting to do, you know, really mindful whole foods, you know, maybe reducing animal products, you know, a little bit, but replacing that protein with another source that's plant-based or something like that. But, you know, nutrition and calories and all of the good stuff is so important during, you know, during that time to be able to support the little babies. So.
And what about like the PB Assist and the kids PB Assist?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think that as honestly, I've known people to start probiotics in infants that are literally hours old. So, you know, depending on, you know, their personal preference and things like that, I would have no problem at all. I feel a little bit, you know, and this is my hippie mama nursing till I was like forever coming out, but I feel like as long as mama is using her probiotics really well, then baby's gonna get that really, really well in her milk. And so, and that's really, really important. But you know, you sometimes have situations when mamas can't nurse, or, you know, through situations outside of their control, it just doesn't work out. And so, you know, utilizing a probiotic in a different way can definitely be beneficial. So figuring that out, there's all kinds of products out there that can utilize, you know, for that. So good questions. Anybody else have questions? All right, you guys, you got to witness me totally geeking out. So hopefully that's helpful, and you guys got some good gut health notes taken that you can kind of shake things up in your lives to get back on track if you're being challenged with anything at the moment.
That was awesome. One of the things that I tell people when they talk about the gut health a little bit, and they don't really, especially new people and that are just learning some of this, I encourage them to at least do the probiotic above, you know, if they're not ready to do the cleansing aspect, because I pretty much just say it's, if you can't do anything else, make the army stronger. And then when they're ready and they get the more education and all of that, then you can start with some cleansing. But I usually recommend the PB Assist like that, or the lemon oil, just to have that gentle response as we take that opportunity to educate. Because people, if we can't educate them, or if they're hesitant about it, and then we start throwing all that information at them, they're not going to do it anyway, because it's just going to be too confusing. So if we can start simple and then use that opportunity for education, that's beneficial. That's what I do. But I would never go into anything like Kresta does anyway, because I just don't know all that stuff. So simple is good for me.
Probiotics are definitely the first start. Absolutely. If they're open and willing to try LLV and just get on that as sort of the foundational thing, then that's absolutely wonderful. But probiotics and Terrazyme are by far and away the very first things that I'm like, hey, well, you have to at least start with these two things.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, thanks for all that. It was awesome. I think this will be something for people, like especially new people, being able to share this information so they can just kind of listen at their leisure. I don't know how we can make it so it's shareable. Kenzie and I'll figure it out, because you can't share it from the group. But if nothing else, invite the people to the group so they can listen to this, because as we know, disease can be, disease comes from inflammation. And when our gut is not healthy, that makes us susceptible to disease. And it's not to say that if we get our gut completely healthy that we are not gonna have a disease, but it's sure gonna make the process easier. And it's gonna take some of the questions and wondering what to do, that will take that out of the equation, because we already are on the path of a good healthy gut. And then we can spend our energy looking in other areas and attacking other parts of our system to be able to make them as healthy as they can be. But I've read over and over and over again, and listening to Kresta, and from personal experience, when we can implement the good gut health, make our gut happy, it takes away some of the symptoms that we're having, that we're struggling and running all over the place trying to figure out how to fix. Sometimes those symptoms will just subside and not be there if we focus on the gut. So that's what I got with that. All right, we are moving on, and we're doing good. We got 10 minutes to go, and then we'll be done. Kenzie, you're up.
Okay, that was awesome. So for the giveaway this week, we're kind of focusing on the healing hands. We're going to be posting a lot of videos, a lot of education this week in the cafe about the healing hands, and talking about co-impact sourcing a little bit. So one thing that we're doing is 2 giveaways. And to enter, what we'd like you to do as you're placing your convention dream kit order today is to donate to the Healing Hands Foundation. So the Healing Hands Foundation, basically, I just totally lost my train of thought. Basically what we're trying to do is give back to the communities and the people in the areas where our oils are sourced. And the Healing Hands Foundation goes in and helps provide these people with water and education and medical, and you'll see in some of the videos that we post, if you were at convention with us, you got a taste of what that's like there. We have Lateran, who's going on a Healing Hands trip here in just a couple of weeks, and I'm excited to hear her do a sizzle about that. So the first giveaway, Arbor Vitae, okay? If you want to win Arbor Vitae, we're asking for a $1 to $5 donation. And then the other giveaway is actually for a Hawaiian sandalwood. And so for a $5 or higher donation, you'll be entered to win that. So it's just for today, okay? So if you already placed your order this morning, you can go back in and add a donation, or you can add it now moving forward. Today's a great day to put your LRP order through, because the Convention Dream Kit is available. For the 200, you spend 200, you get the free 3 citrus oils plus the car diffuser, which name is Iris, by the way, which I loved when I saw that. And then also you're donating to the Healing Hands. So today's a great day to do that. We'll be announcing the winners tomorrow. You can go to doTERRA's website and just place a donation order, or you'll notice on your LRP order, your loyalty rewards order, or standard order, you can just add a Healing Hands donation there and specify the amount you'd like to donate. And then to go ahead and take a screenshot and post that to enter on, if you're doing which giveaway you're entering, post it there in the cafe. So that's what I got. What do you got, Romy?
Well, so I think maybe I'm confused. So we do the challenge on Wednesday and the giveaway on Thursday.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm gonna start it though today.
Yeah. And it goes through tomorrow.
Sorry.
And then we'll do the giveaway on Thursday.
I don't know what day it is, you guys.
Yeah. The thing to remember for those that are listening to the recording, and also for if you have people that are confused about how the Healing Hands works, every penny that you donate to Healing Hands goes to Healing Hands. There are no administrative fees or anything like that doTERRA uses from the Healing Hands donations. So it all goes to help with helping the world, the people all over, the people that help us with our oils, all of that. Same way with the rose lotion. So if you spend $20 on rose lotion, $20 goes towards Healing Hands. And for those of you that don't know, rose lotion is awesome as a mosquito repellent. Amazing, amazing as a mosquito repellent. So the main thing is really encourage your people to pay attention to the co-impact sourcing and what Healing Hands does. And it's just really a powerful way for us to show how awesome doTERRA is. And I've said it before, we have amazing products, but doTERRA is doing way more than providing really good products. So I totally lost my train of thought too. Good grief.
It's been so much fun this morning, right?
I know. I know. So we really, anyway, well, the small farmers and all of that, it's just, I think it puts us into that mindset and that energy and all of that about giving back. And that's where we step into success in the way that we feel in our lives, in our business, and all of that is just being able to put ourselves in that space of how can we help and serve others. And donating to Healing Hands is an awesome, awesome way to do that. And I remembered what I was going to say. So the cool part about this is, as you guys post your screenshots of what your donation is, Kenzie, we're going to tally those up, and it'll be super cool to see how much money rock stars and the people in the cafe as a whole have joined together to be able to contribute to Healing Hands and to be able to literally say, we helped someone, we helped other people all throughout the world today, just by a $1 donation, because it is about us as individuals may not be able to affect as much change as we want, but when we come together, we can affect change in a big way. And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this, is to bring about awareness. And as we bring about awareness, be able to help at the same time. So one of the things that I read this morning is faith without deeds is dead. So step into faith and activate. So that's what I got about that.
What if we already did our order this morning with a donation to Healing Hands?
So you just take a screenshot.
Okay.
Yep. Perfect. Anybody else?
Cool.
All right. If you could stop the recording, that would be awesome, Kenzie.